Have a great.
Good morning, Chavre. Good Yontif. Today's Hoshana Rabbah. You should have a Suda, definitely a Revius, maybe two of Yayin, of wine, or grape juice if you can't drink wine. And you could dip the Chal and honey. You may dip the Chal and honey, but definitely have a festive meal in the Sukkah, preferably if you can, if the rain holds up by you, wherever you are. And today and tonight and tomorrow is the time where we get to say goodbye to the Sukkah. It's not, we don't say the Leisha B'Sukkah tonight. Today during the day we definitely do. But today we clock to Shyness and we shake the Lulav and Esrik for the last time. So we say goodbye to our Lulav and Esrik this afternoon. And tonight and tomorrow we say goodbye to the Sukkah. But we sing and we dance with the Sefer Torah tonight. Hakaf is tonight and tomorrow night, of course, with Simchas Torah. And on Wednesday, big luncheon and celebration. Okay, but now we're going to learn Torah. And we're going to see that there's a great reward for taking your time, even though, of course, we're so busy. People are so busy today. They have to run out early. That we can't take time, but we're going to sit and spend some time learning Torah. I know. And even when you study alone, it's still very, very important, and it's you get great reward. But when you learn with 10 people, like we did yesterday, the Shekhinah comes down, the blessings come down in great abundance. So we try to learn with a group. We have at least 10 people in the room, so we're learning together. And you count also. Okay. So the reward for toiling in Torah, even when studying alone, is the limited divine light that radiates within the soul which studies it. Ki kvias sakarhu shemer Hashem lenefesh tideshenu ba'oir terasei shehu ma'ate levushe mamish. The allotment of reward is that which takes place when Hashem irradiates the soul that seeks Him with the light of His Torah, which is truly the covering in which Hashem garbs Himself. So what does that mean? Through His garment, meaning through the Torah, Hashem gives light, blessing, love to the soul of the Jew who seeks Him. His search for Hashem, a person's search for Hashem could take place either during davening, that precedes one's Torah study, or during Torah study. As explained at the conclusion of chapter 37, that the Talmudic phrase goes like this: Torah about Torah can mean not only reading and studying Torah, but also calling Hashem through Torah. In this sense, the one who studies Torah, one resembles a child who calls to his father, asking him to come just to be with him. For this reason, Torah is called light, as it is written, He garbs himself in light as with a garment. So this pasuk refers to the degree of illumination diffused by the Torah, which, like a garment, is finite. Likewise, the faculties of the soul are inherently limited, both qualitatively and quantitatively. Since the light that emanates to the soul must be integrated within its faculties, this illumination itself must also be limited. So what does the Alter Rebbe say? It says like this: The soul, the neshama, is limited and finite in all its faculties. Therefore, the light of Hashem that radiates in it is also limited and contracted, invested itself within it. And that's why the hearts of those who seek Hashem are usually aroused during the time of davening. Their hearts rejoice in Hashem, even with exaltation and joy. So that's during davening. This is Nahig Nafsham Benoyam Hashem, Al Hashem V'Oidoi, and their souls delight in the pleasantness of Hashem and His light. Iskalusoi. It becomes revealed. So when we daven, we connect to Hashem, and we feel great pleasure in the light of Hashem. And then it becomes revealed through the covering in which Hashem garbs Himself, which is what? The Torah. His arrow comes forth like lightning. From this garment, this Torah, this illumination initially emanates to the soul with all its vigor like a bolt of lightning. This is the allotment, this is the reward for studying Torah, which is always fixed in the soul that labors in it. You get this tremendous light, this the light that just springs forth. So why is it written that a reward awaits one who studies Torah individually? I thought it's a group. That's what we said yesterday. Avashra. Indwelling, however, the Shekhinah dwells among them. Well, when is that? The legal of Asachlis. It's an intense radiation from the light of Hashem that radiates in it, within the soul, without limit or end. Doesn't become vested in the person. Rather, it encompasses the person from head to foot. It's like a light, an aura that shines around the person. As our sages have said, that Akol bi asara shchita sharia keleimar aleim l'mayla. The Shekhinah hovers over every gathering of 10 Jews, over them from above. Notice, not in yet. So just as the Shekhinah hovers over all the Jews in an encompassing manner, even when they're not studying Torah, so too, even with regard to the indwelling of the Shekhinah that's brought about by the congregational study. Oh, I made a mistake. Hashem's light hovers over all the Jews all the time. Okay. And when they study Torah, it becomes more imbued, invested, in internalized.
Internalized with the Jews.
As long as there's 10 people sitting there learning, right? So this illumination of the soul, being finite, must be primarily transcendent. Again, let me read that again. Just as the Shekhinah hovers over all the Jews in an encompassing manner, even when they're not studying Torah, we always have the light of Hashem, right? So too, even with regard to the indwelling of the Shekhinah that's brought about by congregational Torah study, when a group studies Torah, this illumination of the soul, being infinite, must be primarily transcendent. So true. Back to what I was saying before. It was correct that since the light of Hashem is infinite and we are finite, so it can't completely invest in us, but it does come more hovering around, more intensity when we're studying with a group.
More intensity.
Yeah. This is written, may the pleasantness of Hashem be upon us, establish upon us the work of his hands, of our hands, sorry. Kilemar, ki noyam Hashem, no, Kilemar, ki noyam Hashem, asher ifia, meaning we ask that the pleasantness of Hashem, which has appeared through the work of our hands and our involvement in the Torah and mitzvahs, we know that the Torah and Hashem are one. Should become established and rest upon us from above in an encompassing manner, at least. For since Hashem and the Torah is without limit and end, therefore it doesn't become invested completely within our finite soul. This is why we do not apprehend with our intellect and delightfulness the sweetness and pleasantness of Hashem and the unlimited splendor of the Shekhinah. When we learn with a minyan, do we feel like we may feel good, but we don't have that complete uplift because the light is infinite, we're finite. So if it would come in, it would completely change our, we would experience the ultimate euphoric feeling and experience. So that doesn't necessarily happen. And that's why we don't apprehend with our intellect the delightfulness and sweetness of the pleasantness of Hashem, right? So when do we feel the pleasantness and sweetness of Hashem? It's established and rests upon us through the work of our hands and joint study of Torah and joint fulfillment of the commitments. So an infinite order of illumination is elicited only by collective Torah study and performance of mitzvah. I'm a little confused here. He keeps saying it doesn't come in and it does come in. So basically when you're learning as an individual, then it doesn't come in. When you learn, it just hovers over. And you do get a reward, maybe in this world, maybe in the next world. But when you learn with a minyan, when you learn with a group, there's much more light, power, potency.
Intensity.
Potency in the Shekhinah that rests upon the group. So we learned yesterday. Our sages have said that in this world there's no reward for the performance of the commandments. Since this world is finite, it cannot be a receptor for the infinite revelation. How are you going to receive the reward, which is unlimited and infinite in this finite and fixed world. Fixed meaning, with limitation.
Mhm.
You want to think there is reward. The reward is the opportunity to do another mitzvah. Mitzvah gereres mitzvah. And that's the schar mitzvah. Now, okay, so he says, Ki'im efshel ha'olam la'asigoy ki'im b'spashus ha'nefesh me'aguf v'af gam zois al derech ha'chesed k'moy shekosu v'locha Hashem chesed ki ata tishalem le'ish k'maseyu. It's impossible for the world to attain it, meaning the reward of the infinite light, except when the soul is divested, removed from the body, and not held back by the physical body. So when it's up there, it's a part of Hashem, and it's infinite in nature, but it's limited when it's in the body. So when it's up there in heaven, now it can receive the infinite reward. And even then, the soul is able to receive this light only by way of grace of Hashem. Because Hashem has kindness upon this in the neshama. He says, okay, you get a reward. But otherwise, a neshama, even though it's a part of God, but it has its own identity, like the angels and all that other. Our sages, blessed memory, taught that the Holy One, blessed be, gives the righteous the capacity to receive their reward in the world to come. Even then, this gift is needed. Hashem still has to be kind to allow the tzaddikim to receive their gift in the world to come. For even the soul, even after the soul divests itself of the body, it is finite while the reward that it receives is infinite. Okay?
Yep.
When it comes to the angels, which are incapable of receiving an infinite degree of revelation, Shema kemoi sheshamati meraboisai ki elu nimtza malach echad oimed b'mamad asara meYisrael b'yachad af she'enam medabre medivrei Torah. Alter Rebbe says, I heard from my masters, meaning through the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid Mezrich, that if one angel were to stand in the presence of a gathering of 10 Jews, even if there were no words of Torah between them, still the Shekhinah rests upon every gathering of 10 Jews.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the Malach has nothing on us, as long as we unite together in a group. Then what happens? People Allah ve mosa of afachad beligvul v'tachlis yeshchinto shaya alayhu ad shahaya mispatel mitzvusah legamri. Such boundless and infinite terror and dread would then befall him, the angel, on account of the Shekhinah that abides over them, the Jewish people, that he would become utterly nullified. So even a malach that is just completely spiritual can do wondrous things, whatever it is. But when you have 10 Jews hanging out together, even if they didn't yet say the words of Torah, but they have the capacity and the potential to bring Torah study and that power of the Shekhinah being invested through the 10 people, so the malach would be just completely, shocked to the core, frightened, terrified, and would become nullified. Okay, that's interesting. Takeaway. 10 Jews standing together, even if they're not studying, attracts the Shekhinah, which is so spiritually powerful that even an angel cannot survive that energy. So we carry the power as long as we stick together. We still get reward when we do a mitzvah individually, but it's certainly better to do it together with a minyan. So come to minyan later at 6 o'clock, and we'll say goodbye to the sukkah over Shmini Atzeres. Today we say good Yantiv, Sheikh the Lulav and Esrei, L'chaim v'Levracha.